What fact do you know that makes people go why the beep? Do you know that?
It was an annual tradition for the Pharaoh of Egypt to masturbate into the Nile with an audience.
A coworker told me one day you'll know when it's truly the first day of spring because lake water will warm up and make any dead bodies in the lake float to the top surface due to bacteria, he continued with, except for in Lake Superior where the water temperature never gets warm enough to build bacteria in a dead body, and that's one coworker I'll never make mad right there.
The first Pong machine was dropped off at a local tavern owned by friends of one of the developers for a test run. After a few days, the game started to malfunction. The tavern owner called one of the devs, Alan Alcorn, to come fix it, and when Alcorn got there it was discovered that it was malfunctioning because it was too full of quarters.
When Napoleon Bonaparte died in exile, they cut off his penis and gave it to the local parish priest. The priest later sold it to raise money for his parish, and it's been sold and resold down through the centuries, and to this day there are 3 people who claim to own Napoleon's penis. No one knows why this happened, and it's not the important part of the story. The important part is, who the hell do those other 2 penises belong to?
There's a type of slug that has penises on its head.
The US is one of the few countries that allows strike anywhere matches to be sold. Do not bring them on a plane. For example, you're going on a camping trip and put them in your checked luggage. You'll be fined several $1,000s. There's no exemption from the fine. But the FAA will work out a payment plan with you.
Dragonflies are the most effective hunter on the planet, catching 95% of the prey they go after.
The annual migration of birds was only discovered in 1822 when a stork turned up in Germany with a 30-inch African spear through its neck. Before that, we seriously thought migratory birds slept at the bottom of ponds or flew to the moon for the winter. Google. File storage.
The quickest way to the heart actually is through the stomach. According to archaeological evidence, the Aztecs basically discovered through their years of sacrificing people that it's way quicker to cut open the stomach and then go up and under the rib cage to cut the heart out, rather than trying to break open the ribs to get through them. They could apparently get someone's heart out this way in only a few seconds, and there are accounts of sacrifices where multiple thousands of people had their hearts cut out in a single day, which would take forever if they didn't know the quickest method.
In Massachusetts it's illegal to consume more than 3 sandwiches at a funeral. The most random law I've ever heard about.
I know the full name of Dom Pedro I, first emperor of Brazil, since I was a child: Pedro de Alcântara Francisco Antonio João Carlos Xavier de Paula Miguel Rafael Joaquim José Gonzaga Pascual Cipriano Serafim de Bragança e Bourbon.
Captain Crunch's full name is Horatio Magellan Crunch and he captains a ship called the Guppy.
Cocaine was such an influence on Fleetwood Mac's rumors that they wanted to credit their dealer.
According to Mattel, Barbie's real name is Barbara Millicent Roberts. And Ken's last name is Carson. Edit. Jesus, this blew up.
If you sneeze when coming from a dark room into sunlight, it is because of a specific gene which is named AUT. I know because I have it. Autosomal dominant compelling helio-ophthalmic outburst, AUT syndrome, is characterized by uncontrollable sneezing in response to the sudden exposure to bright light, typically intense sunlight.
In order to snap someone's neck like in movies or video games, you need to be strong enough to apply roughly 100 to 115% of the victim's body weight in rotational force. Much more difficult than Hollywood would make you believe.
The longest poop ever recorded was over 8 feet.
The kiwi is a bird closely related to the emu and the ostrich, despite having the size of a chicken. Nature made it small but forgot about the egg, which is about the size of an emu egg.
The slime on a shark's skin is chemically identical to the natural lubricant produced by the human vagina.
Dolphins can fall deeply in love and develop relationships just like humans can. It has been recorded multiple times that when a human and dolphin, who have formed a strong relationship between them over a long period of time, are separated, the dolphin becomes so depressed that they willfully commit suicide by sinking to the bottom of their pool, lagoon, and refuse to come up for air until they drown to death.
If people were otherwise immortal and nobody had any more children, and you shot someone every second, it would take around 230 years to kill off the human race.
Cannibalism is only illegal in one state of the United States.
A botfly egg can land on your skin and implant within a fraction of a second. If one hits you in the eye, it is possible that it can implant the egg under your eyelid so your eye incubates and subsequently feeds the growing larva. I know this because I have removed one from the underside of an eyelid before from a patient with a recalcitrant, eyelid infection. Edit. May have extra vectors.
In the US, small marshmallows are considered food, so they're exempt from sales tax. Large marshmallows are taxed as candy.
Rats are bisexual by nature and females will have group orgies with each other when in heat. Edit. Thanks for the reward. Also, of beep course rat orgies would be my biggest hit. I will now bring you more interesting rat facts. Forgive the mobile formatting. We'll fix later. Males' balls can take up 10% of their entire mass. There was a study where they put females in lingerie and accustomed the males to it to the point they only saw the lingerie wearing rats as suitable mates. Rats can give in to peer pressure and eat things they don't like if everyone else is eating it. Rats cannot burp or vomit. With the amount of people killing pest rats by poison, they are creating bigger, smarter, poison-resistant mutant rats.
Koalas are the most alien of all mammals on the planet. They have 2 thumbs on each hand, 3 vaginas, spend most of their lives asleep, and evolved to only eat one plant that has no nutritional value. They also eat their mother's poop. Edit. A commenter told me that they do not get high off of eucalyptus, and it turned out to be true. But this still means the animal is dumb enough to eat it.
The main legal consideration between grave robbery and archaeology is age and if the deceased has any living relatives. Where I live, if the deceased has been dead over a century and has no living descendants, it's not considered grave robbery and you can claim any valuables found, jewelry, coins, artifacts, etc.
Elephants have prehensile penises, i.e. they can move them like a tail.
There is an entire rainforest-esque ecosystem in your belly button.
2/3 of U.S. Civil War deaths were caused by disease.
The cheetah is the only cat without retractable claws.
50% of sloth deaths happen while they are pooping. Most sloths climb down from trees to poop and tend to die to predators at this time.
You can't own more than 6 dildos in Texas.
Don't use household candles for wax play. Ordinary paraffin wax melts at 70 degrees Celsius, which is hot enough to cause serious burns. If you really want to try it out, you need to buy specialty low-temperature candles that only melt at 45 degrees Celsius. There's other things too, about how to properly prepare someone's skin to protect the downy hair all over the body, or how to vary the intensity and interval of the heat, but most people stop me before I even get that far.
Dolphins masturbate with dead-headed fish, and then leave them for other fish to eat.
If you hold a sheep's nose closed so that it can't breathe, it forces the sheep to pee. Source. A friend of my dad's used to be a vet for farm animals. This was a great way of getting a sample if a sheep was sick.
When bears hibernate, they generate a mucus wax to cover their buttholes so that nothing can get in. Edit. Okay. As this blew up, I decided to look for this information a little further, as it was just one of those fun facts I heard once on TV or something and never actually fact-checked it. There's a name for this, it's a fecal, and it seems to be actually made from hardened feces, but it only has a light odor that is not unpleasant.
The woman who voiced Muriel on Courage the Cowardly Dog was married to the guy who played drums on the Beatles song, Love Me Do. He died a few years ago and she died a few months ago. Thea and Andy White.
A pregnant woman can legally beep on a footpath in Melbourne, Australia.
World record for maximum faps in a day was like 83 times and he died after that.
A modern smartphone can fit up the human rectum. I am a corrections officer. Edit. Since this got a lot more feedback than I expected, this happened a couple of years ago, 2019, or maybe late 2018. I don't remember the exact model we recovered, but it had a bigger than 5-inch screen, and wrapped in saran wrap and electrical tape.
There are more plastic flamingos in the world than real ones. Mr. Rogers personally replied to each piece of fan mail he ever received. It takes a sloth a whole month to travel 1 mile across ground. I love the House Party app. I just use it for random facts these days.
You're more likely to be sexually assaulted by a dolphin than eaten by a shark.
The average vaginal depth is between 4 and 5 inches.
It's better to slit someone's throat on the side than in front. There are more arteries there. Edit. My suicidal friend told me this with much enthusiasm.
The longest word you can make using the top row of a keyboard is typewriter.
In the 1700s they used to rent out pineapples for hundreds of dollars. People would parade their pineapple around the streets flexing on the peasants that couldn't afford to rent a pineapple. Edit. Seeing as this has a couple if updates, here's an article where you can learn about the bizarre history of pineapples as a high fashion status symbol.
For all species of the cat family, mating is painful. It's not the biting that hurts the female, it's the male's penis, which is barbed with 100 tiny hooks.
Ohio is the only state that doesn't share any letters with the word mackerel.
You can legally marry your first cousin in Georgia.
The world's first commercially produced oil well was drilled in Titusville, Pennsylvania. Colonel Drake stuck oil at 69.5 feet and this ushered in the oil boom of the late 1860s. He died penniless because he never patented his method of drilling. Edit. There is an oil well just south of the Drake well called McClintock No. 1. It's the world's oldest continuously producing oil well. It produces about a barrel a year, but I was told it mostly pumps up brine water.
Mosquitoes have 47 teeth.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to subscribe to Upvote for the best quality content every day.